In 2021, a Florida woman placed an order online, not for groceries, not for clothes. She ordered a murder, a real one, with a name, an address, a photograph, and she paid $12,307 in Bitcoin to make it happen. She was 51 years old, an accountant, a churchgoer, someone you'd pass in a grocery store and never think twice about. And she almost got away with it. Almost. This is the story of DeAnna Marie Stinson and the one mistake that brought her entire plan crashing down. To understand what DeAnna did, you first need to understand why. She had an ex-boyfriend, a man she deeply cared about, but that relationship had ended, and he had moved on. He was now married to someone else. For most people, that's heartbreak, that's pain, that's late nights and sad music. For DeAnna Stinson, it became something else entirely. That wife, a woman who had done absolutely nothing wrong, became DeAnna's obsession. Not a rival, a problem to be solved. Now here is where the story gets strange. DeAnna didn't hire someone local. She didn't ask a friend. She went to the dark web. If you've never heard of it, imagine a hidden layer of the internet. No Google, no rules, no identity. A place where people buy illegal weapons, stolen identities, and, apparently, people. DeAnna found a website that called itself the #1 hitman service in the world. The homepage actually read, "If you are looking to have someone murdered, you have arrived at the best place." There was even a pricing page. Death by shooting, $5,000. Death by sniper, $20,000. DeAnna didn't hesitate. She created an account, uploaded the victim's name, address, and photograph, and placed her order. But here is the first thing nobody tells you about this case. That website was a scam. It took people's Bitcoin and never actually killed anyone. So DeAnna's plan was already falling apart, and she had no idea. Because someone else had already found that website. An investigative media organization had been monitoring the dark web, and they found DeAnna's post. A real name, a real address, a real photograph. They called the FBI immediately, and that is when the trap was set. Let's talk about what the FBI did next. They moved fast. They found the intended victim, a woman living her ordinary life in Florida, and they knocked on her door. Can you imagine that moment? FBI agents at your front door telling you, someone has paid to have you killed. This woman had no idea. She had never spoken to DeAnna Stinson. She had done absolutely nothing wrong. She was simply married to the wrong man. Now, I want to pause here for a second, because I think the most important question in this case is not what DeAnna did. It's how a person gets to that point. DeAnna Stinson had no criminal history, no history of violence. She was educated, religious, loved by her community. Psychologists describe something called an obsessive jealousy spiral. When a person cannot accept that a relationship is over, their mind begins to rewrite reality. The other person stops being a human being. They become an obstacle, a problem. And DeAnna, with the cold, calculating mind of an accountant, decided to remove that obstacle permanently. Meanwhile, the FBI had sent in an undercover agent, posing as a hitman from that dark web website. He contacted DeAnna directly, calm, professional, convincing, and DeAnna, believing she was finally getting what she paid for, picked up the phone. In a recorded call that would later be played in open court, the undercover agent told her, "I've been watching the couple. I'll make it look like a robbery. She'll be dead within 2 weeks." DeAnna Stinson did not back down. She confirmed she wanted it done. She even sent an additional $350 in Bitcoin so the agent could buy a revolver, and she gave him specific instructions. Do not do it at the home. Any place else is fine. Complete it in July, preferably between the 5th and the 11th. The agent replied, "Act surprised when you find out." She agreed. "I want you to sit with something for a moment. What if that website had been real? What if the man on the other end of that call actually was a hitman? An innocent woman who did nothing except marry the man she loved would have been shot to death, made to look like a robbery, and DeAnna would have acted surprised. The only reason that woman is alive today is because one journalist found one post on a dark web forum. One post, one tip, one phone call to the FBI. That is how thin the line was between life and death. And here is what disturbs me most about this case. That website is still out there, right now, on the dark web, still taking Bitcoin, still accepting orders. DeAnna Stinson was caught because a journalist happened to find her post. How many others weren't so lucky? September 13th, 2021, DeAnna Stinson sent her final Bitcoin payment, and then federal agents appeared at her door. Not a hitman's confirmation, not a news report about a death. Handcuffs. The woman who had spent months planning, calculating, sending Bitcoin across the dark web was under arrest. But the real climax came inside the courtroom. Assistant U.S. Attorney Lisa Thelwell stood up and pressed play. And through the speakers of that federal courtroom in Tampa, Florida, came DeAnna Stinson's own voice, calm, deliberate, confirming that she wanted a woman dead. Her parents were in that courtroom. Her friends were in that courtroom. And they heard every single word. Judge Stephen Merriday looked at DeAnna Stinson and said something I have not been able to forget. He said he saw two people standing in front of him, an educated, church-going businesswoman who loved her family, and a calculating, brazen woman who paid to have an innocent person killed. And then he said, "It is true these two people exist. They are actually the same person." DeAnna Marie Stinson pleaded guilty on January 19th, 2022. 6 years and 6 months in federal prison, 3 years supervised release, and $12,000 in restitution paid directly to the woman she tried to have killed. That last part stayed with me. The woman who was supposed to die receives a check every month from the woman who tried to kill her. Court ordered, but here is what the headlines didn't tell you. The victim, whose name was never made public, she still lives in Florida. She still wakes up every morning knowing that someone paid to have her shot to death, knowing that a stranger uploaded her photograph, her address, her daily routine, and said, "Make it look like a robbery." The defense attorney stood up in court and said, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned," as if heartbreak explains paying $12,000 to end someone's life. Does it? And the hitman she hired, the one she trusted with her darkest secret, was never a hitman at all. He was an FBI agent sitting in a federal office, recording every word she said. She never stood a chance. Judge Merriday said it best. Two people, one body, one life. One who went to church on Sundays, and one who spent her weekdays browsing dark web hitman services. And that is the question that stays with me. Not just about DeAnna Stinson, but about human nature itself. How well do we actually know the people around us? The colleague at the next desk, The neighbor who waves every morning? The person who seems perfectly normal? What decisions are being made behind closed doors? Let me know what you think in the comments. Was 6.5 years enough? Or did the punishment not fit the crime? And one more thing, do you think DeAnna is genuinely remorseful? Or did she only plead guilty because the FBI had her own voice on tape? Next time on this channel, a husband, a life insurance policy worth millions, and a disappearance that took investigators 12 years to unravel. If you don't want to miss it, you know what to do. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay safe, and remember, the dark web is always watching.